So here we are in Colombia, and we're flying the Zeno for review. How have you found it so far, Seb?
Yeah, it's really nice. I've flown it for around 75 hours so far. I got it in October. I've flown in quite varied conditions, from strong to very weak, and I'm surprised how it performs for such a little aspect ratio. I think performance-wise it's very similar to the Enso 2, and even in weak lift is doing quite well, but it's still a two-liner. You have to be careful, not letting it shoot too hard and controlling. I don't believe it's a glider that you wanna switch from a C straight away, as I think Ozone is promoting it as a first-time two-liner coming from something like an M6.
It definitely feels well, quite a lot higher workload than the King, which I flew last year, and I was surprised actually how much more work it was. It feels a lot more dynamic. I mean, I've only flown it for 20 hours. You've flown it for about 70, haven't you? Quixadar. And what's it like in competition then when you're racing against Enso 2s?
Well, I was quite surprised my first stats with the Enso 2s. In the strong stuff, it just goes beautifully. I think it goes better than the Enso 2. And for some reason, at full bar on the final glide, I managed to pass a couple of Enso 2s. But you know, it has some variables. Maybe the weight. I was flying quite loaded. I had just released the back loops to make it a bit faster after a few hours. So it's hard to say, but it did perform really well for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I've found is when you're thermaling, a big difference between it and an M6 or a King is it'll straighten up and then surge out of the climb, and you almost feel like you're not going to stall it, but you can feel the whole glider peeling back as it dives forwards. That's something I haven't experienced on 3-line Ds that I'm used to. Have you found that?
Yeah, sometimes depends on the thermal. With the Zeno, I feel like you almost need some time to get used to the thermals, because the handling is quite precise. You don't need that much effort to handle the Zeno. But for the same reason, if you come out of a glider like the Enso 2, which needs a bit more brake travel for the same effect, so you can sometimes, even when you make corrections in turbulent air, oversteer it the opposite way or whatnot. So that was something I had to get used to. I think this is the kind of glider that you need a few hours to really make the most of it.
Yeah, it feels very different. It feels you know, every wing's different, but the King was a very kind of familiar feel to it straight away. This is especially on bar. It's you can, you know, it's got a lot more performance and energy. So yeah, that takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
Have you been scared on it yet? The truth?
Yeah, in Quixadar I had to land with 50 km/h wind with it, so I had to full bar it nearly all the way to the ground, which I think it was okay. I think this glider, as long as you are keeping pressure on the beast and really paying attention to it, it does stay open in turbulent air. And a couple of days ago it was quite rough here in the mountains. The air was doing a bit of a funky thing, but yeah, I mean, it's still quite cohesive. It's keeping together quite well, and it's acting as one. You know, you have a lot of gliders that really like to twist around and do really weird things, because it's kind of a small aspect ratio. You feel when you apply brake to it, it goes as a whole, it goes all together. Yeah, half bar is quite comfy. It's like gliding at trim speed, you know, same comfort. And enough feedback to tell me what's going on around me. It's really cohesive. It's really solid. It acts as one block all together.
So in climbs, it's a bit different from a three-liner in that it will surge forwards a lot more. It's like it's wanting to bite. So in stronger course, not like this, you do need to hold it back quite a lot. And really punchy course, it's almost like the glider's peeling back as you control it in the surges. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. So that's an example of it pitching out of a thermal. Needs quite strong input to keep it in check.
When you pilot with the B lines, it is really responsive. You almost feel like you could do the whole flight on the Bs. Yeah. Okay. But like all two-liners, it requires attention. It's not a glider to just become overconfident and eventually, like all two-liners, it can potentially bite. So don't be cocky, don't get cocky with them.
What differences have you found between harnesses? Because you've flown now normally the Exoseat and now you've flown the Forza. How did you find it?
I think out of the seatboardless harnesses, I think the Forza I like the most. I've tried a few others and
how does it affect the handling though? With because I found the Exoseat felt like it was like adding suspension to a car that had no suspension, so it just damped everything down. And like my third or fourth day with the Forza, I felt like in a strong climb I was getting completely lifted the wrong way, and that might have unbalanced the wing, whereas with the Exoseat it seems to just calm it all down.
Yeah, I think the Exoseat gives the feedback it needs to give.
Yeah.
Everything else is just down to the pilot. With the Forza, it felt like it was giving more feedback, maybe some unwanted feedback, but it's probably a personal thing. We are flying competition gliders which are moving a lot and whatnot, and some of the feedback I didn't want. I felt like, let's say if you get a collapse, you're gonna fall on that side, and but maybe some getting used to.
So maybe in light conditions a seatboardless harness is okay, but really for medium or strong conditions you want a nice solid seatboard harness to fly the Zeno with more comfort.
Yeah, I mean there must be a reason why in the competition scene there is no
yes, because everyone wants to look
harness.
Cool. Everyone wants to look cool, don't they, with their nice long fairings. It's just that's the reason.
Well, almost, but yeah. But it did make I think it did make a difference in the way I was flying it, and in the comfort in the air. As you say, it feels like you have like a suspension. Like you're going through the air. You know what's going on, but not too much.